Yeah, welcome back. Today, I am talking in English because I think it's a topic that is concerning many countries, especially Europe, but also United States, of course, Canada. Even though most of the time I will speak from a German perspective. So I was first thinking maybe I should do this in German, but these days, I mean, everyone speaks English, and if not, there's also the subtitle option that's even created by AI. So I think it should be okay, and then we have more people to address. And what I was actually wanted to talk about is I don't understand this philosophy of the politics these days of how they are yeah, getting a grip or not getting a grip on the problem with the birth rate, the demographic change and everything. I think it is it's ridiculous. It's even actually like I don't know. Even they are stupid or there's some agenda or whatever. I don't understand why they don't do anything properly. Like for example, the last time the German football club won the world championships. Do you know how it happened? It's the thing is with football clubs. Like in the national league, like in the World Champions League, basically the um, teams from the countries, they have to be Germans. I mean, a German nationality. So, or I mean, the country, the nationality of the whole country. I mean, like in this case, Germany, or like if you are from Finland, whatever, you know how it is. Like, you have at least to have the nationality of the country that you are playing in. And what they did in Germany with the team, they were noticing, okay, it's not going that well. So what we are doing is we will create a good team. But in order to do this, they have to invest time and money and in their own teams, in their own country, basically. And it has to be a strategic plan. It's not something you can do until tomorrow. You cannot say, okay, today we play bad, tomorrow we will be good. No, they have to do this, or they did this also. They trained the youth, the German youth, uh, train them from small on until they come to the age of being able to play in the high leagues. And so what we had, you also noticed this, was a very good team player, their team basically. Basically the reason, I mean, you saw how they played. If you followed the championships, many other teams they had, like I don't know, like for example Ronaldo or Messi or whatever. Like they have like this one star or maybe two stars in the team, and everything's around them. And so basically everyone else knows, okay, we have to block these players and we are good. And it's basically one man shows or two man shows what many did. But what Germany did this time, they didn't have like one star. They were playing in a team, and it was like, okay, if I know, okay, it's hard for me to make the goal, I play to my teammate, and he makes the goal. So and this is how they won. Like they won by team playing, and they won. A team won by playing in a team, which was made like fostered in a long term strategic plan to become like this. And this is the same thing what they basically have to apply in Germany and in Europe, in other countries too. Because when you check the numbers, the birth rates are drastically declining. And the reason for this is also simple, of course. I mean, people cannot afford to have many children anymore. Like the people who live in the countries, like for example Germany, when you look like our parents' generation, or even also before the generations, of course, but just 30 years back, if you were, for example, a medical doctor, you could afford to build a house, have three kids, and a wife who's not going to work, and you still could afford everything. If you hear this today, even for a medical doctor, it's like crazy. Like it's like not possible. Like if you want to have three kids and a wife who's not working and build a house, you have to be like win the lottery, basically. No? And except if you don't live somewhere completely in the outskirts of in the nowhere. So there are many things changed. Everything became more expensive. I think the system adjusted a bit to women also being also working, because this is a good thing, of course. I mean, everyone should have the chance to go after a career, and it doesn't matter if the man goes, the woman goes, and stuff. But the problem about this is not that women work. The problem is that the system adjusted in a way that everything became so expensive that they basically nowadays, when couples work, the man works, the woman works, then they get enough for themselves. They can barely afford having a child, or maybe even children. Two children is already like really, in Germany it's tough. Like already one child, like you don't know, like you cannot put a child anywhere if you don't have, of course, someone like grandma next door or something, of course, these things. But in general, if you do not have these things, that's the first thing's the time. Like you have to go to work 8 to 10 hours in a day, And the places, like we call them Kitas in Germany, like these pre-kindergarten places, they're not open that long. So one person always already has to go and cannot work properly, have to cut short on work in order to be able to take care, to get the kid, bring it back. Then these Kitas, they even have on, there's these school holidays. We have in Germany, for example, many school holidays. And in the school holidays, many Kitas, or I think almost all of them, are also closed. Like, why are you closed in the school holidays? Like, it's not that everyone, the parents, not every parent is a teacher and there's free on these days. No? I mean, for teachers, it's still okay, of course, in Germany. Also for the state officials, like Beamte, for them it's an easy time. They can also most of the time just get easy off, like 1 year, 2 years parenthood, because they don't have that much at work what they are losing on. Like, they don't have a hard time to get back into work. But for the most normal people, it's actually like almost not affordable. It's like a huge problem to have kids, basically. This is just a time thing. The other thing is the money, what I just said. I mean, when the man and the woman, they're like husband and wife or whatever, they go to work, they earn the same amount of money, and they don't earn enough amount of money of really like having like a good life, even if they have normal jobs. I'm not talking about having some complete low life jobs. I'm talking about standard jobs, like, like the middle class. They don't have. They can barely afford to have like one kid already, and 2 kids is even like whoa. And the more kids you get, some support, like child money support, but it's so little, it's ridiculous. And then it's no surprise that things are changing. And also the problem is that many people don't understand that this is something the state has to do. I mean, the state has to do, because many people, they attack each other. Like, like you have always depressed people, like the women are saying, sometimes, for example, the woman takes the first year off of work, we have this kind of system that you have the motherhood, which is forced, like for 3 months or something. So shortly before and after birth, the woman is not allowed to work. But then there's also the parenthood for 1 year, which is the husband can take it, like father can take it, the mother can take it, can even take it for 2 years. But you also get much less money in this time, basically because you do not work, of course, that makes sense. But so one person can take this time off, but gets much less money. And even there you have these problems that people are like stressed over. I mean, there's also, I don't know, like social media also is advertising these things of that, for example, often the woman takes 1 year off, but she says when the husband comes back from the work, then it's like, oh, now it's your turn. Now you have to do all the housework and all the kids and everything. I am free now. And or then she's like, I don't want to give breast milk at night. I want now it's my husband's turn, but he has to make the bottle warm. He has to go to work. I mean, there's these things of that women also become more and more in this direction. They don't want to do this. And then husbands also get nerve-wracked. I mean, there are many posts, you can read it on Reddit or on other social media, where people talk about these issues that the couples have, that the women, for example, are like stressed out alone from this job already, of taking care of the kids. And then you have the husbands in these scenarios who do this, and who like come back after 8-10 hours of work, and then the women treat them like they were on a vacation, like because they didn't take care of the kids in this time, but they were not on a vacation, they were like fucking working. So as long as they're not like I said, state officials, they were actually working. And then there are of course also women who are like also putting down their careers. So they're saying, okay, I want to be as less as possible in the motherhood time, and then they have to check how they do this. Maybe one person's in home office, the other person, because they have still like a kid, it's just a few months old at home. So and even home office is not that easy when you have meetings online, have a kid there, and many people don't even have the option of having home office. So there are many problems, and I'm not saying the problem is the woman or the man or whatever, and I'm not saying the problem is that women also work. It's good that, like I said, that everyone has the option to work. The problem is that there's no support from the government to make it possible. And what the government says, we fund so much money into in bullshit things. For example, in Germany, we fund like projects in Africa for nature products and projects in Africa. We built there's a very famous story. We built like bicycle roads in Peru. Why do we put millions or billions of money into bicycle roads in Peru? Like, what the fuck? What do we have to do with Peru? And the whole refugee situation. I mean, it's not a joke. I mean, someone who needs protection from somewhere should get a protection, but they should get a protection from next country that is possible to get, not like choosing a country they like to favor, like, okay, it's very luxurious living in Germany or in England or France or whatever, and I go there. If there are like 10 other countries in between where you can get protection. So I think they should firstly go to the next possible country to get protection. If someone has only the option to come to your country to get protection, they should get the protection, because, when you are yourself in a situation that you have to flee from war or something, then you also want to have someone who takes you in and says, okay, I will provide you with aid as long as you need it. That's also the thing. But we have the problem, of course, where there are many people who take advantage of the system. Most of them actually these days, I mean, we get more and more refugees, even though the wars are over. Okay, the numbers are getting a bit, they decline a bit, and they're saying, oh, it goes less, but okay, even if it's now 20% less than last year was like 300% more than a year before, so it's not a real decline. And people just come and we finance them. It's extremely much. Like we put so much money into them. First off, we support them in their own countries. We send aid all the time, which you never know where it comes because often the terrorist organizations take it for themselves. Then you have the people who come inside who are the fake asylum seekers who actually do not flee from something, who just want to live in luxury and they don't work, many of them. And even if they work, they get so much support from the government that they can afford having so many kids. And then this is also this thing. I'm coming to this subject because they're saying we are like in Germany, for example, they say we are like an immigration country. We are ein Einwanderungsland. Friedrich Merz just said it, the chancellor, also again. But we don't have to be an Einwanderungsland, like an immigration country. What is this bullshit? Like you're saying we have low birth rates, and that's why we are like an immigration country. Like this is not a solution. And then the people, they live from our taxes, and they can afford to have 5, 6, 7 kids, which they do. Like it's in the, I don't know, especially these Islam kind of people, they often have these many kids. And of course, when you come here, either with sometimes it's because they don't have a problem with living with 8 people in one room. Sometimes it's because they get so much money from us anyway, don't need to go to work. And so for them, it is easy to handle 5, 6 kids even. Because they got the support actually. But their own people in our countries, like the Germans or the English or French or whatever, I don't know, okay, I'm not that much a specialist on the English and French, I'm just talking mostly about Germany, but I think the systems are probably similar. They do not get this aid. So the Germans, they cannot afford to have like 5 kids. I mean, most German families would I mean, even with the Kindergeld we have, like a child support money, it's not possible. Like also not from the time, also the time problem, because like when, for example, if you're like a refugee, you get the money, and to stay, everything gets paid, and you can stay home. You also have the time. You have the time. You get the money from the state, no problem. But this is what I think where it goes wrong. You have to put the money to your people. For example, these we call them kita, these pre-kindergarten things, but also the kindergartens. They need to get funded. Their jobs have to be more attractive for people, so they take them, and they have to make them be open longer, so that there are more people work there and they can have more opening times. They don't have, like, for example, school holidays, and they don't have, like, I don't know, we close at 4 o'clock or a kita. No, they have to be open at least from 7 in the morning until 7 evening or something, like, maybe even longer. And then people can be easy have kids. And this is why I came to the football example. In the football example, they cannot say, oh, we take people from other nations into our team because we don't have enough good players. It doesn't work because the rule is you have to have people from your own team. So this is why they had to train their own youth in a strategic way to get the good team, which they also were successful with. And this is the same what you have to do here. It's not something that you can fix now. You have now the birth decline because the situation is shitty. But if the government starts to fund, to give people the possibility to have time and money to afford to have children, then the birth rates will also go high. This is the thing what is missing. This is the main problem. And if you fix this, you don't need to say we are an immigration country, we take the people in. I'm not having anything against foreigners or about immigrants in general who are coming here, like I said, who really flee from something or who want to move to another country, change, I don't know, but then of course also pay for it, not just come here and live on our expenses. It's similar with the Ukraine, basically. The Ukrainians, many of them come here, and I mean, it's also like a very famous story with the teeth, for example. They may get their teeth done, everything. So then Germans don't get appointments because the doctors are filled out. And many of them come here, do treatments, go back to Ukraine. And I mean, if you're like in a situation like in Ukraine, for example, and you're like in some kind of zone which is dangerous, and you want to flee to Germany, no problem. But then you also have to stay here and then become a normal refugee and also, come to the system. But it's not working that we say, okay, we pay them, or we pay for all the healthcare now, and then what happens? That they say, oh, our healthcare, like the Friedrich Merz, also the chancellor, he just recently said, yeah, Germans have to work more, we don't work enough, and he said the luxury of our healthcare system we can no longer afford. Like he says that we have to do more, pay more into our healthcare system and everything, and cannot have all this luxury that that we get. It's not that perfect anyway. But the problem is, like, they all talk around the problem. The problem is that these refugee people from all, not just Ukraine, also from other countries, from all these, Syria, whatever, they come from Africa. They are the ones why everything is expensive. They are like, I mean, of course, they don't pay into the healthcare system, but they use it. And then they're saying to us Germans, oh, you don't work enough, you cannot afford this luxury anymore, like, we have to do something about this. What? Like, you punish us for paying for other people? Like, then you cannot pay for them. Then you have to say, okay, we are full, stop. This cannot be that we go against our own stuff, we don't build up our own, don't do anything for our own children, we don't do anything for our own healthcare, we pay for others, and then we have to suffer for it. That's not how it works. You can help people when you can help people, but when it comes to a point that people abuse the system and that you cannot even help your own people anymore because you do too much for other people, okay, you have to say, okay, at some point, stop. And like I said, the one really important thing is that we that we invest not all the time in other things, but we invest first in ourselves. And this is not something which is right-wing or Nazi or whatever, or not even conservative. It's just like a normal logical thinking. Of course, first you check off your own people. When you have more, you can take care of other people. And this is one thing they really have to do for the future.